And now, here to let you know there is no perfect movie, here is Tyler Wolff.
Thank you, Caleb. What's going on, everybody? I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Papillon is indeed no perfect movie. And it centers around a real-life safecracker played by Charlie Hunnam, who in the 1930s was wrongly convicted of murder and sent to a penal colony in the French Guiana. And immediately upon transportation, he comes across this reputable forger played by Rami Malek. And the two of them agree to a business-only partnership. Hunnam will protect Malek, and Malek will finance Hunnam's prison escape. And over the course of several years and multiple different escape attempts, the two of them forge a bond with each other that once they realize they can't really survive on their own and they don't have much to live for in the outside world. Papillon is a really hard movie for me to talk about because I don't really have that much to say about it. It's a movie that I'm glad I saw, but I don't really know if I would watch it again. The things I was expecting to be good about it were good. The actors were all talented, it had beautiful cinematography and production value. Amazon definitely didn't spare any expense. The thing that really bugged me, though, was that there wasn't a lot of meat to the characters or really to the story. There was obviously a well-crafted structure in regards to the things that characters learn over the course of multiple years and multiple different escape attempts, but it doesn't really change the fact that these characters don't really have that many interesting qualities to them. Surprisingly, not even the main two leads. When we first meet this safecracker played by Charlie Hunnam, we get like this very quick 5-minute sequence of pretty much just what his life in France was like. He was a safecracker, he had a good enough reputation among the criminals that he worked with, and he had a girlfriend who loved him but felt that he wasn't really sacrificing that much for her. And that's really about it. That's as far as it goes in regards to things that he has to live for on the outside life when he's sent to the penal colony, and that's really about it. He doesn't talk about it amongst his friends and fellow escapees ever, really. And Rami Malek's character feels completely inconsequential for a lot of the movie. He's barely even in it all that much, to the point where at the end of the movie, where like most true life stories do, where they talk about things that happened after the events, his name is never mentioned, which is kind of weird because I found him at times a little bit more interesting. But the thing is, due to reasons that I can't give away because it would spoil the movie, he doesn't really show up all that much, and I didn't feel that he had much of an arc or a progression in regards to the things that he learned while trying to survive in prison, which is kind of essential if you're going to make a prison break movie. Not to mention other people like the prison warden, the guards, fellow escapees who are helping them. You don't give a shit about either of them. I feel bad saying that because the actors are clearly trying to add as much as they can. Not gonna lie, Charlie Hunnam being in this movie is probably the only reason that Tommy Flanagan shows up for like, I don't know, 5 seconds. They bribe him and then he leaves. That was real essential. In all seriousness, the movie does get better as it goes along and the characters start to learn things about themselves, at least when we see that for a fact. There's a really good 20-minute sequence where Hunnam's character is in solitary and he's not even allowed to speak for more than 2 years at least. And it was fascinating and at times a little bit difficult to watch him struggle to maintain his sanity and follow the rules. And it wasn't until then that I felt that his character was vulnerable and had a lot to lose, especially because those sequences had minimal dialogue, but also a lot of really good visual metaphors in regards to things that he's fantasizing about and how it relates to his life on the outside. That stuff was interesting, and I wanted to see more of that, but instead we see a lot of much slower sequences involving the two of them just trying to survive daily life in prison, which should have been interesting. This penal colony, in regards to the set and the way it was presented on screen, was very atmospheric. You get to see just how difficult it is to find a way to escape, and not only that, just get along with the other people. And it wasn't graphic or exploitative like some other prison movies are, thankfully. There's even a fight scene where the majority of the characters are naked, and usually that can come off as being cheesy, but they found a way to make it legitimately serious and intimidating and gritty too. The problem with those scenes is, after one ends, another begins that kind of follows the same beats in regards to the fact that they have to learn to adapt to their surroundings, they have to learn to get along, but they're not willing to, and that gets really repetitive, especially during the first act when we're just getting used to this new location. Now, the actors do give good performances, but I have seen them do significantly better in other productions. I mean, it's still good. Hunnam's character becomes more vulnerable and more sympathetic as time goes by, and Malek starts off as this cowardly individual who slowly and very sporadically over the course of the movie, if I'm being completely honest, does learn to fend for himself and learn to adapt to his surroundings. Oh, shit, this... I know this may be the shortest video I've ever made, but that really just sums up how insignificant this movie was. And I feel disappointed saying that because it had a lot going for it. And there were a lot of things to admire about it. The actors all give good performances. There's some Oscar-worthy cinematography, but that's about it. The story is pretty simplistic, even for a prison movie. And the characters just, as I said, don't have a lot of meat to them. I don't think I'm even going to score this movie because I'm still not even entirely sure. Should I give it a 3 out of 5 because there were a lot of good things, or a 2.5 because even though I wasn't bored, I wasn't interested either? The movie does get better over time, where whenever they fail in an escape attempt, they have to learn something about themselves, and that part was interesting, and I know that's why they waited so long to get to that. The thing is, there were a lot of scenes that were so tedious and repetitive before it that don't make their progression and their redemption as characters really all that interesting. Well, if you got any satisfaction out of this video, I'm happy, I guess. If you've seen Papillon, I'm really curious as to what you thought about it. Either way, let me know in the comments below, and Caleb, tune us out.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more No Perfect Movie reviews.